When we think about failure, what's the image that comes to mind?
Oh, it's always something dramatic.
Yeah, exactly. The big noisy collapse.
Right.
The person throwing their hands up and yelling, "I quit."
That's the movie version. But, in all the patterns we've looked at, the source material points to something else, something
Yeah.
much quieter.
Most people don't fail loudly.
They just vanish. They fade out.
And it doesn't happen when things are impossible, which is the weird part. It happens at this one very specific moment,
Right, when things are actually starting to work.
when the finish line is literally in sight. They stop right on the edge of the breakthrough.
It's a total paradox, isn't it? I mean, you put in all the effort, maybe years of it, you pay the maximum price, and then just when the reward is about to kick in, you find a way out.
It makes me think of that old story, the one about the gold miner.
Mm-hmm.
Dug for 2 years, put everything he had into it, and then just gave up. Sold all his machinery for practically
The
nothing.
me person who bought it.
Started digging and struck gold. Just 3 feet from where the first guy stopped.
3 feet from gold. That image is everything for this deep dive. It makes you ask, what on earth is going on inside us that makes us trade a guaranteed win for what? For immediate relief?
It's a pattern, and once you see it, you start seeing it everywhere. You really can't unsee it.
Welcome to this deep dive.
This is a show that explores those strange patterns that drive what we do, the quiet friction that makes us abandon our own best efforts.
We just look at what the source material says. We're not here to judge or teach or give you any quick fixes. We're just uncovering what's already there.
Okay, so let's get into this
Yeah.
quiet vanishing act.
Yeah.
Because we have to be really clear. We're not talking about people who are lazy
Mm.
or people who are genuinely clinically burnt out. That's a different thing.
Not at all. This happens to really smart, really capable people, the ones who have already proven they can do the work.
The ones who did most of the digging.
Exactly. We see this in something called the dip, or you could call it the two-thirds effect. Think about starting any big project.
Like learning a language or a new business or even writing a book.
Right. At the start, it's all exciting. It's new. Every little thing you do feels like this huge leap forward.
The novelty is motivating.
Totally. But then you get to about the two-thirds point, and the forward motion just feels unrewarded. The clarity you had at the beginning starts to get fuzzy.
This is what our sources call the gray zone of conviction.
That's it. And that's where the vanishing happens.
You see with the entrepreneur who suddenly pivots,
Yeah.
right? Just
Yeah.
before hitting product market fit. Or the writer who abandons a manuscript when they're like 80% done.
Or that junior employee who's brilliant but switches jobs every year and a half, always looking for a new area of interest.
They've paid the price, though. That's what's so strange.
They've paid almost the whole price. The sources are pretty clear on this. The pain is almost always front-loaded.
But the rewards are backloaded.
Massively backloaded. It's not a straight line. You put in 90% of the effort for maybe 10% of the results.
And then, in that last 10% of the time, the results go exponential. They just shoot up.
But you feel like you're done or like it's not working just before that happens. You misread the signals.
It's so easy to just say, oh, that's a fear of failure. But that doesn't make any sense.
Why not?
Because they already endured the hardest part. They're familiar with things not working out. They've proven they can handle failure. So why would they create an exit now?
So if it's not laziness and it's not really a fear of failure, then what is it? What makes us stop?
We have to look at the power of the familiar.
The pull of what we already know.
Yes. The brain, it just prefers the status quo.
Yeah.
It loves what's comfortable, even if that comfort zone is full of disappointment.
Success, real success, means you have to cross into a new territory, an unfamiliar one, and that creates a huge amount of tension.
This is where it gets really interesting. Because that old cliche, fear of failure, our sources say it's basically a misnomer here.
How so?
Well, because for a lot of these people, failure is the familiar state. It's their default. So when the tension of potential success gets too high, it's that familiarity they retreat to. They're going home.
But why would anyone prefer the pain of a familiar failure over, a guaranteed success? It seems completely irrational.
It does on the surface. But neurologically, the stress of a known pain is actually less than the stress of an unknown high-stakes reward.
So that tension, that's the fear of success.
It's not the fear of having success. It's the fear of crossing the line, of becoming that new person. You have to let go of an old identity.
And that is a huge internal shift. It changes the entire story you tell about yourself.
Think about athletes, the ones who are labeled as chokers.
Right.
Take the golfer Tom Watson, early in his career. Immensely talented, but He just could not close out a major tournament.
I remember that story, the 1974 Open. He had a massive lead.
A 7-stroke lead on the final day, and he lost it. I mean, a 7-stroke lead, that's not about skill. That's something else going on.
It was purely mental. He couldn't cross that gap, that threshold from being the super talented almost guy to being the actual champion.
An entirely new identity.
Exactly. Once he finally broke through that mental barrier, he became #1 in the world. The skill was always there. The friction was about his identity.
Okay, so part of it is this internal physics. Change creates tension, and we retreat to the known. But that doesn't fully explain the gray zone. Why does the work itself start to feel pointless?
That's the other hidden driver.
Mhm.
We have to talk about the invisibility of progress.
The what?
As you get really good at something, your brain automates it.
Right.
It's just being efficient. It doesn't need to throw all its processing power at the task anymore.
Like driving home on a route you've taken 1,000 times. You get there, but you don't really remember the drive.
That is the perfect analogy. And
Yeah.
because it's automated, you start getting that little satisfying hit of dopamine, that ping of solving a hard problem.
So the work starts to feel boring because you're good at it.
Precisely. The brain starts to discount your own effort. You stop noticing the feedback that you are, in fact, getting better.
So the very sign of mastery efficiency is misinterpreted as a sign that it's not working. You see that lack of struggle as a sign of stagnation.
Yes. It creates this emotional void where an exit suddenly looks really, really appealing.
That makes so much sense. That explains the fading clarity, the feeling that it's pointless, but it still doesn't quite explain the public nature of it. The active creation of an exit strategy. Why the vanishing act?
Okay, so that brings us to external pressure. Specifically, what happens when everyone is watching you?
External expectations.
And impression management. Think about it. When you are the favorite, you're the one who's expected to win. If you hit a setback, you're not just failing yourself, you're facing public embarrassment.
So it's not the failure, it's the social cost. It's what other people will think about your ability.
Exactly. There was this incredible study done on professional tennis players. They looked at thousands of matches over decades.
What were they looking for?
They looked at what happened when a highly ranked player, a favorite, lost the first set, an early setback.
Yeah.
The favorites were 26.62% more likely to quit the match mid-game than the underdogs who also lost the first set.
Whoa, 26%, even though quitting means losing prize money and ranking points.
The financial cost was less important than the social one. Quitting becomes a rational strategy for managing impressions.
They're controlling the narrative.
Yes, they don't just walk off. They usually claim an injury. That's the key.
So they're preserving the counterfactual. It's not, I failed because I wasn't good enough. It's, I might have won if not for this injury.
It protects their public image. This immense pressure leads to that small escape, that quiet vanishing act. And that escape gives you this intense, immediate wave of relief.
And the brain remembers that relief. It feels like peace, doesn't it? But it's not the same as finishing.
Not at all. And because the brain is wired to repeat what brings relief, that pattern gets locked in for the next time.
So if you're listening to this, what does it all mean? We have these two huge, invisible forces pulling us back just before a breakthrough.
On one hand, you have the deep automatic comfort of the familiar.
And on the other, this intense social need to manage how people see us when the stakes get high.
We talk a lot about the sunk cost fallacy, you know, that irrational need to keep going with something that's clearly failing just because you've put so much into it.
Right. Throwing good money after bad.
But maybe the real paradox, the one that stops most people, is the reverse of that.
The irrational urge to quit a winning venture.
To walk away when you're 3 feet from gold just to protect a fragile image or retreat to an old comfortable habit, even a habit of failing.
Because the failure is known. The success requires becoming someone new.
You did all the work. You survived the brutal beginning, and now you're standing right there. The goal is in sight, but that last step just feels impossibly heavy.
And just knowing that this is the moment, recognizing where the friction is, that's half the battle.
So the question to leave you with is this. If you know that you are most likely to stop right before things start working, what part of your identity is actually being protected by walking away from your breakthrough?
If this deep dive made you pause, or maybe rethink a moment you almost quit, or something you're doing right now, let us know.
Like this deep dive and share it with someone who always seems to stop just short of the finish line.
And subscribe to Behind the Pattern if you want more conversations like this. where we look at the hidden drivers of human behavior.
And in the comments, what strange pattern do you want us to explore next?
We'll see you soon for the next deep dive.